Hello, I'm Neo, and today I'm going to be recording this GDQ submission video for Sonic Unleashed Any %. This is a 2-hour long run that I have one of the top times for. I'm one of the top runners for Sonic Unleashed, and this was a game that I spent a lot of time on. This is a game that I used to IO back in the day. Didn't really do too much with it before I really stepped into the scene with Sonic, but this game holds a really near dear place in my heart because I've spent a lot of time with it, and it's one of the coolest speed games that I've ever played. I think the game looks amazing, especially for being a 2008 game. It's visually really beautiful. The run is really cool, and there's a lot going on with like both the gameplay styles, with this being one of the games that has two very different like gameplay styles for Sonic in it. Right now I'm going to be running this game on Unleashed Recompiled, which is a fan-made PC port of the game to PC, of course, which was something that we didn't believe Sega was going to do because of like past notoriety with this game not doing really well in the eyes of many fans. But I do believe that this game is actually really fun and really good, and a lot of people are starting to come to that realization now, which is how we actually managed to get this PC port, because this was highly requested for a long time, especially after the Series S 60 FPS update, where we knew that this game, once you actually gave it like a proper frame rate and were able to play it properly, it plays a lot better. And this is a port to be able to very conveniently play this game with a lot of different options that we usually don't have. A lot of these options are not available on Xbox. So you get stuff like 1440p, like upscaling, high frame rates, being able to change a lot of the graphical settings per PC. So a lot of different PCs are actually able to run this game, and it's made it a lot more convenient and nice for people that want to actually play this game for the first time. And even with all these changes and like things that you're actually able to adjust in that, this game is actually not. This game is like a one-to-one like recreation from the actual official like Series S and like normal port of the game. So while this run is 2 hours, I know it says I have the time for loadless right now, which is how we time the Unleashed Recompiled run. This run is about 2 hours, and because of the Series S update, with it having nicer SSD and being able to run and like load the game really fast, the time differential between the console version and the PC version is actually fairly small. So while this is my preferred way of playing Unleashed nowadays, just because of the convenience of it and all the options and the higher resolutions and all that, I am an owner of the Series S version. I own a Series S. I have done lots of runs on that version of the game, so say it weren't possible to do this at GDQ, I would be able to bring along my Series S to be able to run the game on there, and virtually it wouldn't be any different. It would just look a little worse. So yeah, I will start to get into the run. This is Any %, which is like about a 2-hour run, goes through the entire story of the game up until the final boss. And yeah, I will get into it here. So loading in, we were introduced to the first gameplay style of this game. This game has two different sections, which you call the day stages and the night stages. Day stages are very much how we're used to with like modern Sonic. This is Boost Sonic. Very simple to explain conceptually. You have a boost button. You gain boost from either drifting, collecting rings, defeating enemies, those kinds of things. And yeah, Sonic, well, this is his first introduction of the boost formula. It is he still has a lot of his moves from prior 3D Sonic games like Adventure, so you get things like the homing attack and light dash and other things later on in the game. This was a short little introduction stage to really get you into the flow of playing Day Sonic. And we load into the hub world right now, actually, which I'm quickly going to grab that medal over here and then make my way to the entrance stage. The hubs don't really matter for the run. They're just little things that you have to go into to be able to access the stages in the game. And I'm going to be loading into the first real stage. Now, there's a lot to explain with Day Sonic. A lot of movement things. One thing you're going to be seeing me doing a lot here is this like quick step slide thing. I am actually just, instead of just boosting to go really fast, I am choosing to slide and hit my quick step every so often. This is what we call a QSS. QSS is pretty much us transferring the speed you get from shifting lanes, which is what the quick step is. It allows you to swap to the side really fast and quickly, and we slide during it to be able to like transfer the momentum, because slide actually doesn't kill your momentum whenever you're sliding, and conserves a lot of that momentum. So QSS is really good for like getting up to speed really quickly and actually reaching speeds that you wouldn't normally be able to reach. And another thing that we actually used, which is a cool speed tech, is M speed and D speed. D speed is like the 2D equivalent, while M speed is the 3D equivalent. And if you're paying attention to my input display at the bottom there, you'll see me like not push my stick all the way in, and that's to activate M and D speed. M and D speed is basically like your fastest form of like movement tech in this game. The way to describe it is that when you're holding the stick at a certain angle, air drag no longer applies to Sonic, and actually like it gets added onto his speed value. So you're actually able to shoot off at really fast speeds in the air, which allows us to make use of like the air movement and the airspeed that we get to be able to make really huge skips, and is really coolly used over the course of the run. Windmill 2 is like really constricted in that, so we don't really actually get to show off many cool things with it. But that's like pretty much the basics of modern Sonic movement. We're actually ending the stage right about here. So yeah, that's the first day stage. We're not gonna be seeing day Sonic for a little bit here. We're gonna actually, once we're past this results screen, I'm going to swap over this and you'll see Sonic the Werehog. I am going to be upgrading his strength because we're going to be transitioning into the night sections of the stage, of the game. Nights is really interesting in this game because this turns Sonic from a really fast-paced action platformer into like this really slow combat brawler, which you think wouldn't be really that interesting or fun, but I think Werehog is a lot of underappreciated value in a lot of the moveset that you're actually able to pull off with him. He has a lot of cool combat abilities, and the combat, while maybe being one of the lesser desired parts of Sonic Unleashed, actually, when you use it for platforming purposes, you get a lot of movement options that wouldn't honestly be available to you if you weren't to take advantage of the movement. Coming in here, you see it's very much a slower version of the game. When coming in, beating these like dark Gaia enemies, these are the lore-wise, these are like little creatures that only like come out at night and are like feed off the negative energy of like the night. The game has a very complicated lore that in a lot of places doesn't really make any sense, but long and short of it is that these are enemies that you only fight during the night, and you only fight them as Werehog. And that's also the reasoning for like Sonic turning into this like Werehog thing, is because of like the dark energy that was released because of in the story, the world is actually broken apart at the start of the game by Eggman. Eggman actually like breaks apart the world and like releases this monster that is like trapped in the Earth's crust, and because of that, a lot of the like negative emotions get like really amplified about people around the world, and that actually ends up affecting Sonic 2 in a way, which is again why he turns into this whenever it's night. Werehog is very interesting because of being really strong, as you can tell from the build of the Sonic, but also because of the stretchy arms mechanic, which is used in the platforming and in the combat. And I don't really know if there's like a lore reason why Sonic can't run fast as Werehog. It's never really explained, but this is just kind of the gameplay style, so kind of gotta roll with it. Yeah, this is basically what the stages are. We are going around these areas. One thing that you saw me doing in the previous level also is picking up those medals that you're seeing me pick up every so often. These are the Sun and Moon medals. The Sun and Moon medals are really important over the course of the run because there's a degree of like locked progression in this game. I'm gonna be doing a quick skip here just to get over this wall so I don't actually have to do this combat. Ooh. I'm gonna be trying to grab off these guys and jumping just to like force myself into a position where I can actually like get enough height to go over this invisible wall and jump into this area, and then I get to skip a couple fights in here, and a lot of stuff just isn't loaded, so I don't have to worry about it. But as I was saying before with these medals, the medals are locked progression. I need a lot of these medals over the course of the game because the stages are actually locked until you have a certain amount of medals collected in the game. So what I need at the end of the game, basically near the end of the game, is I'm going to need 120 sun medals, which are the like brown orange ones that you see me picking up, and then I'm going to need a bunch of moon medals, 80, which are the blue ones that I'm about to pick up, like one right here on the swinging pole. A lot of the trouble with this game is having to route these guys in because it is required progression, and we do have some backups, but the route that we take gets us the required amount by the end of the game. I do have a lot of backups in my mind in case I don't actually grab the necessary amount that I need, but hopefully by the end of the run I'll have everything and we won't have to like find any backups or anything, because that does take a little bit of time. Now, one thing with the combat mechanic in this game is that I just went unleashed. This is a little bit of like a super power up for Sonic that I've been gaining over the course of the run, which allows me to do more damage to enemies, like that big guy there. You want more damage to kill that guy really quickly, and I'm gonna be actually, even though I have the gold ring here, I'm gonna be farming all these enemies. I want this EXP. That's another collectible that we get over the course of the run, is these like yellow like diamond orb things. That's our EXP, and we do need a certain amount of levels on Warhog to like really make good progression in this game, and I'm going to be saving up a bunch of it once I've done this little upgrade. So what I want here is combat level 5, and I'm also going to be leveling up Sonic strength to level 3, and that's where it's going to sit for a good amount of the run. Now I'm not going to be wasting any more experience on upgrading because I really don't need it until a certain part of the game. And that's the night sections. And this is technically the third, like, gameplay style. I don't really know if I really want to call it that because this is not, like, a super important part of the game. This is actually really much an auto-scroller. If you're familiar with Sonic Adventure 1, this is very similar in concept to Sky Chase. But with Sky Chase, you're able to basically put the controller down and put Sonic and Tails in a part of the screen where they can't get hit. Tornado Defense is different because I'm in a locked position, and this is like a QTE section. Sonic Unleashed is very notorious for the amount of QTEs that it actually has in the game, and that's basically what this entire section is. You're basically playing a shooter, like an on-rail shooter, where you just have to hit the right buttons so you don't get hit. You can take a lot of hits, but of course you really don't want to get hit in this section. And it's just like hitting whatever buttons show up on the screen. There's really nothing interesting about this section, to be honest. So in this area, I would probably make this like a pretty good donation part, or like talk about anything that would want to be talked about, because yeah, there's really nothing I can do to speed this up, and there's nothing interesting to talk about here. Lore-wise, right now, actually, we are going to another continent from the one that we were on. We are going to actually Spagonia to meet up with the Professor Pickle, to be able to explain what is going on with the world and how Sonic and Tails are actually able to fix it over the course of the game. So, yeah, we got a few minutes of this before we actually get to that part. I'll just be playing this section out. This is the one time we have to do this in the early game. There is a second time we will be doing a tornado defense like segment, but that comes near the end of the game. So yeah. Like I said, there's actually really not much to say about this part. Just that it exists and we're doing it. Right now, this should be the end of the like normal section here. I think I got like a couple more enemies to kill. Yeah, and then they blast off, and then this becomes the like boss section of Tornado Defense, where I'm just fighting against this big ship that's about to float on the screen. This is like Egg Cauldron, piloted by Eggman, and Eggman's trying to like take Sonic down, obviously, so that like he can't get to the next continent to be able to like help save the world. So we gotta fight this thing. It functionally isn't like too different than anything we've been doing. Egg Cauldron will open up for like this like big huge mega attack. I just gotta kill everything, and then eventually, as you see there will be like a button prompt for me to hit a button a certain amount of times. That's when we do the main damage to this boss. Otherwise, it plays exactly the same as everything else. I just gotta wait for them to do that attack, which is at set intervals. You always get the same time on Tornado Defense as long as you're doing everything correctly. It's really hard to lose time on this that's like any significant amount. Oh, you're about to get another open up here. It's gonna require 3 more times. You actually do need to do, as long as you're hitting all of your buttons, this should take only 4 cycles of him doing this like mega attack. We should actually almost be about done with Tornado Defense 1. We'll open up in 3 seconds here. And that's the end of the boss. That's pretty much the end of Tornado Defense also. Once this cutscene's done, we're going to be hitting the results screen and then moving back into the actual gameplay sections of this game. We're going to be going into the Spagonia hub. So this is now where we loaded into the Spagonia hub. And I'm actually going to be not interacting with anyone else here. Also, quickly grabbing this medal though, but going into the university, which is going to activate a cutscene to progress the story game. Basically what's happening here is that the professor has been kidnapped, so we actually have to like talk to some townspeople to actually figure out where he went, and then you figure out after talking to this lady here that he's been taken to Missouri by Eggman. So we actually go to another continent after talking to Tails. No flight section in between this time, they just let you instant teleport, and then we come here as the Werehog and we end up in Missouri. This is like this is like the 3rd continent that you really visit in the game. 2nd one gameplay wise, because this is where the next stage is going to be happening. We're going to be playing another night stage after the first one that we played. And this one's also cool. I really like a lot of the night stages because it shows off a lot of cool movement. And I think that Missouri is when the game actually starts to open up with the Werehog movement, and you actually get to see some of the really cool stuff that you're actually able to do with this guy. So loading in here, we actually I had to take another detour for more medals. You're going to be seeing me doing this a lot. If you know how the game works, you're going to be thinking, you could just go straight right now and go to this door. But I actually am trying to route in all the medals that I can for this. And there's a lot of medals that are hidden out in this little field. A lot of like little collectibles in that. But now I'll actually start making progress. Another medal over here, and then to skip this entire fight section, I'm gonna actually do an uppercut combo and then kick myself onto this invisible like geometry above the torch. To get myself up here, this is a bit of a shortcut. As long as I don't fall off here, I can hit this button, be able to activate this door instead of solving the room puzzle and killing all the enemies. So I'm over here, do those swings off those bars, grab another medal here and just make more progress. These enemies I actually don't have to fight, but these next enemies are, because this is like a required like combat room. You can kind of tell when there's like a purple wall that actually spawns, that you need to actually like kill every enemy to like really drop. also see that you'll be fighting a couple like day stage Eggman robots. These guys transfer into the night stages, but the night guys never transfer into the actual day stages. But they pretty much function the exact same. You just beat them up with all the Werehog combos. And grab all that XP and then also do another uppercut to get into this crevice instead of having to do this little run puzzle where they want you to hit this button with that little enemy, because Sonic's actually able to pick those little enemies up and throw them at targets to be able to, you know, activate buttons in that. I'll also be skipping this run puzzle with a little bit of the movement abilities that I have. Coming up here and then trying to make sure that I make this jump with an air combo here to get myself a little more distance. I'd be really careful here because if I fall, that's pretty much a soft lock. It's very easy to not get yourself soft lock there, but you know, still something to be very aware of. And as you can see here, this is what I was talking about before. Sonic's able to take those little guys and chuck them at buttons to be able to activate things. Coming up here and grabbing another medal. Sonic's also able to, like, as you can see from the first level, Sonic's able to do that with those like bigger guys also, where he's able to just grab off of them and get an extra jump in the air. And we come into this room. I'm also going to be skipping this room, but I first need a couple things out of it. To the left here, I actually want to break that and then grab this medal. These are like a little power up that you can get in certain breakables in the game. This is the attack claws, which actually boosts Sonic's damage. And I don't actually need to kill these enemies, but with the XP system that I was telling you about before, I actually am trying to grind a little XP off of these guys, because over the course of like the next 20-ish minutes, I'm going to be setting up for a bit of a glitch, but I do need 8 levels of experience to be able to do the glitch properly. At the very least, minimum 8. So I'm also going to be rounding in some kills that don't necessarily need to do, but just making sure I get the required amount of XP that I need. This fight is required. This is the one that actually spawns the goal ring to end the stage. So I gotta kill all these guys. I'm trying to optimize this fight so that I can kill them like as quick as possible with hitting them back, because hitting them in the back actually does more damage. It's not a point that really the game makes obvious that that's a thing that happens, but if you hit most enemies in the back, you actually do more damage to them. That's the end of Smanticism Night. So we find the professor and we bring him back to Spagonia and all that, and he tells us about what's going on with the Earth, with this entity that's been trapped in the Earth for thousands of years, and it's their reawakening. So that's why all this nonsense is happening, because Eggman actually woke them up early. So nothing was actually going right here, and that's why the world's kind of like a bit of a mess and not able to figure anything out. Now, this is where they introduce us to the world map. It's a really quick tutorial section on how to actually get all this to work, but pretty much right now, I'm just trying to leave Spagonia and actually go back to Missouri, because once is to go back to actually enter the day stage of the level. Lore-wise, we actually want to be doing every continent has both the day stage and a night stage, and doing these day stage and night stages actually allows us to like unlock these temples. Lore-wise, we're unlocking these temples to actually power up the Chaos Emeralds, because at the start of the game, the Chaos Emeralds actually had all their power drain to actually break the Earth open. So we're chasing Eggman down now to a temple to actually reactivate the Chaos Emeralds, and then we enter into Missouri Day. Now this is the very primo area to show off, if I can actually do it properly, the M-Speed mechanic. The stage is really open, and it actually just makes this one of the best places to practice M-Speed, because it's just so open and very easy to get things activated. I'm gonna be doing another D-Speed over here just to like skip over a bunch of things. You can see how much speed you actually get from pulling off MD speed. It's kind of insane. And just for even short little jumps there, just to save a little time, I'm gonna try to do it into this section so I don't have to ride the whole rail. And yeah, once again, a lot of the day stages, the goal is really the same. I'm just trying to get to the end. And with D speed and D speed, M speed, and also QSS, I'm gonna be using all of my movement options just to be able to like traverse these levels, really try to go as fast as I can. Route in some enemy kills and the experience that needs to be grabbed also, but at the end of the day, just trying to be as fast as I can. I'm gonna like kill these enemies here, and instead of actually going to that speeding, I'm gonna try to transfer up here, both to get a little more XP and then to grab that moon medal. I'm coming into another open area section, which allows me to start doing more M speed. I want to cancel a little early here because there's another moon medal that I want to grab and transfer into the last like 2D section of the stage. And then right here, I'm going to actually be trying to target. I was trying to target a spring back there. There's a really small window you get to be able to target it. And actually skip a little bit of this like platform, but it's not too big a deal that I have to do that. It's gonna actually fail that QTE for the ramp, which would have taken me to the goal area, but it's actually faster to fail it and then go onto the springs. And that's the end of Missouri Day. Then after this, we're gonna actually immediately load into the first day stage boss fight. All the day stage boss fights kind of play the same. I'm gonna be focusing a little here because there's a lot of medals, as you can see here, and I need to be grabbing these because these are all routed into the run also. And these are very important because, you know, once again, we only have so many medals we can grab and don't want to be skipping any because that's going to cause issues later on to the game. Yeah, explaining the day stage bosses, all the day stage bosses pretty much play the exact same. You're kind of locked onto this, like, quick step area. And you're gonna be fighting this big bot that you're like running towards. And what I'm doing here is like QSSing to get like up to the boss as fast as possible. The main way to do damage to this boss is to actually like bait them into an attack and then boost into them, and QSSing and boost QSSing, which is another like form of QSS where you're actually activating the boost to be able to attack enemies. Allows us to just like really quickly beat the boss. 42 seconds for that boss is actually a really good time. Yeah, you like to see. And then yeah, this is where we activate the Chaos Emerald to be able to, you know, repower the Chaos Emerald and bring this continent back. Lore-wise, this continent you will see actually once I leave this area, because we're going to be going to another continent to go to another stage, but right now this this continent is actually put back into place. It's a little hard to see, but it's actually not floating up in the air. We actually transferred it back into the ground by activating that Chaos Emerald, and that's pretty much our goal for like all of these continents in the game. I'm coming here and grabbing a couple of these medals here. This is Alaska, and this is like that, you know, Arctic ice stage of the game, and right here it's actually introducing us to one of the upgrades that you're actually able to grab for Day Sonic. This is the Stomp Shoes, and that allows Sonic to actually stomp, which is pretty much new for like this version of Sonic. If you used the bounce bracelet before, it's kind of similar in that regard. That's one of the more exclusive like boost ones that they introduced into this game, and you unlock a couple more as you play this game. Now, this is Cool Edge. This is another day stage you gotta do. And this one revolves a lot around the, like, ice physics. A lot of stuff is slippery, and I gotta be really careful, but also a very cool stage. I think thematically it's really neat. Visually, it, like, looks beautiful. I think this is one of, like, the coolest conceptual designs for a Sonic stage. And then, after breaking this switch down to open this door, you get to the main gimmick of this level, which is actually the bobsled sections. You're trapped in this bobsled. I'm not able to boost or anything. I'm just like being pushed forward on this path by the bobsled, and I just kind of gotta maneuver myself and like avoid enemies. One thing I'm gonna be doing entering this 2D section is I'm gonna actually be jumping a lot. You'll be wondering why I'm doing that, but basically this bobsled slows down quite a lot once you on the ground. But if you transfer the speed from the boost panels that I'm hitting every so often, you're actually able to, and keep jumping, you're actually able to transfer a lot of that speed into those jumps and just keep that momentum going, which is really nice. Or D-speed here, and then we get to the first like real like water running section. This is kind of the introduction of this because Sonic is not actually able to go underwater in this game. There's no like underwater sections that wasn't really introduced in this game for Boost Sonic. Sonic is able to run on water though, and as long as I'm holding boost and or drifting or like keeping enough speed, basically, I'm able to run across the water. And that's, if I hit something or I stop boosting, I fall into the water, so that's kind of something got to be a little careful about in that section. Come through here, got another application of the stomp mechanic. Another D-speed here before entering the next upset section, which is pretty much how this stage ends. I'm trying to kill as many enemies here because I still am trying to route in that level 8 experience, which I do have, but I can go for level 9 now, which level 9 slightly speeds up the actual exploit that I'm going to be doing later. Would have liked to kill those enemies, but I mean, that's whatever. Grab that medal. A lot of these medals that are on here are kind of easy to miss, so I kind of try to pay a little bit of attention. I'm here. Jump over this, because it's slow to take those ramps, and then jump every time I hit these dash panels to keep momentum, and then hit the middle of this one so I can grab this medal, and that's basically the end of the stage. Basic way that this game kind of wants you to play it is that you're now at this point, it's going to be 2 day stages into do night stages into 2 day stage, and it kind of alternates that way. So right now, even though I am going into a night stage, I'm going to actually entering Rooftop Run in the day. This is so I can actually do a bit of like an item like exploit here. Well, not an item exploit, but like grabbing an item earlier than the game intends, just so I don't have to do it when I have to revisit this area. So I'm going to be doing this little tree skip here, getting on top of that tree and jumping over that, because the entrance to this area is actually blocked off during the day. And that actually just allows us to get into this area a little quicker and grab the wall jump shoes, was the second upgrade you're supposed to grab as Sonic. It's not supposed to have this until a couple stages from now, but it's just faster to grab this now than to wait for it. So, and if I time my homing attack here right, didn't get it, but you can time a homing attack to like be able to still grab this sun medal, which is a good grab to get. And then I'll be switching it over tonight using this hourglass. So we're Night Sonic, we're Werehog again, and then entering Rooftop Run Night. Now, Rooftop Run Night is when you actually get introduced to one of the biggest like mechanics for breaking Werehog stages. I'm gonna quickly just do an uppercut here to get over like a spawn trigger, so that I don't get stuck into a fight section I don't want to do. And then coming up, I'm gonna be doing something known as a go-through wall. You can kind of guess what that actually allows me to do, but with a certain combo in this game, if I time my shield right, I'm actually able to pass through certain walls that are like thin enough. And so now I'm completely out of bounds and running around the entire level. I'm not supposed to be here, as you can obviously tell from me running through buildings and that. And there's a very specific path I'm trying to take so that I can get back into the level. So I'm gonna be coming over here. I'm gonna fall here, but actually just air combo my way over to solid ground and then hit this checkpoint and then actually take a death. And then hitting that checkpoint and taking a death, I've actually teleported like 5-ish minutes into the stage. It skips us so much of the stage doing this, and go-through walls are actually very applicable through a lot of the game. It wasn't as important in Windmill Isle, and it wasn't important in Missouri more so. You actually just weren't able to do that because those levels I put into Sonic at the end of Windmill Isle 1 are actually what allowed me to get the combo to be able to do this glitch. And Missouri just doesn't really have any practical applications. But here's when we actually get to take advantage of it. Right now we're doing the tower climb, just trying to climb up this tower as quickly as possible and grab whatever medals that I'm able to. Coming over here for this, and then right now it's like a little mechanic where they want you to actually activate the like clock tower in this area. I'm going to actually not want to do that because it's really slow. I'm going to jump here and like land on a little bit of collision for those lampposts. That is a lot harder than I made it look because you need like actual sprint jump speed off of like going off a ledge to make that jump, and then you need to make sure you have like a buffered run into jump so that you actually make it without falling. It is very easy to fall in that area. And then yeah, that's the end of that, and then this is the end of this stage. So we actually beat the stage in only around like 2 minutes.
Not so bad.
Pretty neat. And then that ends Rooftop Run Night. We're gonna actually load into the hub again, but before we're actually able to leave or talk to Pickle, we get put into this section, which is introduce the exorcism exorcism mechanic. There's a lot of like hub stuff that the game wants you to do if you're to actually like interact with like trying to complete the game. The exorcisms though, besides this one, actually really aren't required at all. So all this really amounts to is just us beating up on these 4 enemies and just trying to finish this as quick as possible so we can actually get back to the main game. And that's the end of that. Now that that was introduced to us, we get put to the frontier again. I actually have to go talk to Professor Pickle at the university to be able to activate the next few stages that I have to do. So I'm going to do that now, but I'm also running around trying to grab all these sun medals that I didn't grab initially, because it's just like the best time to go and grab them as we're trying to go back to the university. Talk to Pickle. So once we go in here and talk to Pickle, I'm gonna actually leave. And because of that, like skip to get into the day version of the hub stage before, I actually did a bit of a sequence. Because this cutscene that's about to play was actually supposed to play right when I entered the world, but because I didn't enter as night, I actually did a little bit of sequence break there. And was able to just get teleported right back out to the front. Kinda neat. And then here we enter Chunan. This is the 4th like world that they introduced us to here. The story with this one here is that there's an elder that we actually have to go and save. We just gotta talk to this lady first and do all her dialogue options properly. And then we're actually able to gain entrance into the entrance stage for Chunan Night. Excuse me. So we're getting access to it now, and now we're going to go all the way to that building over there. That's where the first night stage is, and this is actually the stage where we get to see what the setup was that I was trying to do with all the experience later on. We first had to get to the end of the level, but there's a really hard like part to pull off that's actually going to allow us to get more levels than the game intends for us to have at this point. Like I said, first we have to get to the end of the stage first, so I'm going to just try to get there as quickly as possible. Once again, running in more medals. Instead of going over here, there's actually a breakable wall over here that houses another medal. And these fights aren't required. I'm going to do something similar to a Rooftop Run Night here, where I'm going to grab this medal, clip through this wall, and then coming around here, jumping around this door, and then hitting this checkpoint out of bounds, taking a death, and that skips both opening the door and actually doesn't spawn a fight that would happen over here. The game just doesn't spawn it for whatever reason unless you hit that other trigger, so yeah, that saves us a little bit of time. There's some of the really neat applications of go-through walls. Go-through walls are a little hard for Werehog because you only have like a couple frames that you're actually able to clip through a wall. So you gotta time your shields properly, and there's actually a bit of a scary mechanic to it with go-through walls where there are frames that you're able to clip through a wall, but there's also frames where you'll clip through a floor if you time it wrong. So 90% of the time, clipping through a floor is a death, especially on this stage. So it's a little bit scary, but overall the trade-off is worth it for the skips that you're able to do. And most of the time, this game is pretty generous to checkpoints, so failing at go through a wall and going and dying to going through the floor is not that big a deal. Running across this like section here, jumping around because there's like an invisible wall there. I don't know that section in a way that I really wasn't supposed to. Do an uppercut to get up here, and then we're going to be coming up onto the exploit. This is what we call EXP glitch, and basically what's going to be going on here is that I'm going to be skipping this boss here. And trying to set up at this gold ring in a very specific spot. I'm going to be focusing a little here on this. Air combo. I actually get a ledge grab there, so I didn't technically land. The way that gold rings work in this game is that you only activate them when you land. So I actually set it up in a way where I didn't actually hit the gold ring animation and grabbed that enemy and like actually activated the gold ring. But because I was holding an enemy, I have full control of Sonic because it's not able to just like stop me in place for the gold ring animation. I'm actually able to move around, and I actually still have a stored gold ring state in here. So when I'm done doing all this leveling, I should come back over here, try to find another enemy to grab. If the game would let me have an enemy to grab. Jump. And then we just reactivated it. Why is that useful? Well, once I actually like progress these screens, I have all my XP back, but I still have all the level ups from the other leveling that I did. And that's how we're actually able to exploit the leveling system a little to actually get a lot more level ups than the game really intends for us to have at this point. So I'm going to stack this a few times. I am trying to go for level 14 combat and level 5 strength, and then some other miscellaneous upgrades here and there. I have to focus a lot during this because the issue is that if I'm not careful while doing this, I jump and land, I get locked into the state of like being in the results screen, meaning that I can't do this glitch anymore, which wouldn't be too big of an issue, but I also lose whatever stored XP that I have there and would have to redo the entire stage and the glitch. So I'm really trying to be careful to not accidentally do that. Right here, I actually have enough that I'm going to be able to just finish this off. So I'm going to be progressing this screen. It's fine that I'm locked into the state now because I have enough levels to get to the level 5 strength that I need and then exit. And then yeah, now I get all of those stored levels way sooner than I'm really supposed to be able to, which actually makes this boss fight really funny because I have what is now known as a missile punch and level 5 strength. You are not supposed to have level 5 strength by this point. The game did not expect this. So you're way stronger and are able to actually do a lot more damage to this bird, which I'm going to use to my advantage by doing a funny setup for the kill here. I'm going to charge a missile punch, 2 X attacks, a missile punch, cancel that, and then missile punch again, and then I get locked into this cutscene. I'm gonna fail that QTE, and what actually happened there was that I actually pretty much used up 2 of the boss's health bars. There's like 3 phases to this fight, and I actually just skipped one of the phases and pretty much like fully brought down the boss's like 3rd health to the point where you'd hit the QTE section, because that's how they expect you to kill this boss. The second that you hit that orange line on the health bar, that's when a QTE activates. I am now in a little bit of a position where if I do an attack, I'm going to get that QTE activated. I don't want to do that because that takes a lot of time, so what I'm actually going to do here is bait him in again. And because of the amount of damage that I did, 1 more missile punch should just kill him, and then that's the end of the boss. And that's the end of the fight. Really neat application of the XP glitch. But yeah, my Werehog is upgraded to a point that you wouldn't expect to be upgraded to in this point of the game, and yeah, you get to do a lot of funny stuff like that with it. So that pretty much ends all the night stages I have to do now. So we're actually going to be going back to the Pickle once this is all said and done, and getting the next few stages activated, because he's pretty much the progression part of this game. You have to go top 10 every single time you want to actually like go to other levels. So once we're back in the hub here, I'm not going to immediately exit. I'm going to come over here, grab this medal, because there's these sun medals and moon medals in this specific like hub world, not the actual like stage select hub world. The medals that you can grab are exclusive to the day and night. So if you want some day medals or some night medals from these hub stages, you got to make sure that you grab them when you're the right character, or else you're just not going to be able to grab them. And then come in here, talk to Pickle, and then exit again. Instead of, again, I'm exiting immediately, I'm actually going to be coming over here, grabbing this medal, coming over here, pausing on this rail, because when you pause on rails in the hub, you actually stop all your momentum on the rail, and that allows me to just like quickly aim myself and go over there to grab that move medal. Rode it back to Dragon Road to actually go to Dragon Road Day. I don't have to talk to anyone here. I can just try to make my way over without hitting anyone. Then we can come over here to actually grab our next upgrade. This is the air boost. These wind shoes here, and that actually allows me to boost in the air. Now instead of like doing the homing attack in the air, which is what would happen if you didn't have this upgrade, you actually boost in the air now. So I'm actually able to keep a lot of momentum with that instead of homing attacking in the air, because boost obviously carries momentum. So that move at the start is what would happen if I didn't pick up that upgrade, but I still have that set of movement in case I have no rings. And yeah, so this is Dragon Road Day. Another good one for the application of M&D speed, because it's a very open stage. Like right here, once we're through this section, I do another jump with D speed just to get to this attack quicker. Ooh, okay, so I didn't want that. I'm trying to fight a cycle here, but I kind of overshot my spring, so went a little over. That's fine though. Still gonna make it there for a good cycle. Come over here and jump on this platform. Make our way over. This stage is a little weird because it just really tries to introduce the 3D platforming, but Sonic is a little too unwieldy to do 3D platforming in this game, so you gotta be really careful with what you're doing. There's another one of those water sections. I'm gonna slow down a bit here to grab a medal, and then if I can hold the right angle, it's really hard to actually get M&D speed angles like on the fly because it's just such a precise angle, and then you need enough speed to activate M&D speed, so I can't do it all the time unless I'm really good at setting it up or I have enough time to set it up. Go way over here. And there should be all the sun medals right now. And most of the time when it comes to medals, you're really prioritizing the sun medals because you need way more of those than you need moon medals. Moon medals are still important to grab, but of course, if you're missing sun medals, that's when you really start to run into problems. Now I did a little skip there to actually get a homing attack off so I could target that guy and just do a bit of a skip. Enter the skydiving section. Take another hit here so I'm actually able to damage boost off of this guy with my iframes. Then we come to the chaser section, which I'm actually going to try to skip here by doing a little bit of a trick. I come over here, jump on this wall, and then set up my D speed and fly around here and land back in this stage. So if you're familiar with the stage, you know that like in this section, you're actually supposed to get chased by a chaser. It's really slow though, because this is one of the chaser sections that actually don't like allow you to QSS in them. So we do want to skip around with that M speed, because that'll actually allows us to, like, you know, make better progress in the stage. I just go a lot faster. It's really scary though, because if you fail that M speed, then you are dead. But you do have a check, so you keep on like retrying it. It's just, of course, it's a long death because they don't expect to be out there, so it loses a bunch of time to fail it. And thankfully, everything was good with it. So we're back to Rooftop Run, not to talk to the professor actually, but to like go into Rooftop Run Day, which is our next day stage that we actually have to do. And because I already grabbed the wall jump shoes early, I don't have to go for them right now. I can just come over here, enter the stage, and we're good. So Rooftop Run Day, very, very iconic stage of Unleashed. This was the one that got brought back for generations. If you're familiar with the speed run or watched the old GDQ run from back in the day, I believe it was GDQ 2014 of old day stages, you would be seeing like a huge skip right at the start where we actually fly across the entire stage and skip way farther in. The thing is with that though, that trick only works at 30 FPS consistently. I am able to get it at 60 FPS, but it's very hard to actually get the launch that I need to do because of like a collision clip that works different because of the FPS change. Also, we'd be skipping out a lot of medals, as you can see that I'm grabbing right now, which are very important for the run. Now, I will actually try for a skip here. That might lose me a bit of time. I'm only going to give it one attempt because it is pretty hard, but I'm going to actually try for an M speed here. And I dropped it. Okay, so if I... As you can see, there was the stage over there. And I would have been able to actually fly to it if I got the right like amount of speed, but I didn't, so I actually was forced to go back. So I was actually like gonna fall out of bounds and die, and because I didn't hit a check at that by that point, I would have just like fell to my death and would have had to restart the entire stage. So I just restarted. That's why I'm only gonna give that trick one try, because it's very hard to hold that M speed and is a big time loss if you don't. Thankfully, I didn't lose that much time because you saw I was able to do that skip right at the beginning to actually clip through some buildings and land further into the stage. So while there was a bit of an unfortunate time loss, we're actually like still making decent time here. And then we get into this version of the chaser sequence where these laser robots and you're stuck in like a forward QSS section. It's important that I try to get these robots dead, because if I leave this section while still in QSS, if I leave that QSS section while those robots are still alive, I'd actually get stopped in that drift section because it doesn't know that I'm like out of it yet. Otherwise, we're good now. Just making our way through the stage, and we're coming up on another big skip that I'm going to be trying to do. This is known as the clock tower skip. So right here, after grabbing this medal, I'm going to jump over these springs, dodge around an invisible wall, and then build up enough speed so that when I actually hit here and launch off of this building, I launch over there and then way farther into the stage. And that skips the entire clock tower sequence, which is like a big climb that takes a while, especially because we don't have the light dash yet, which actually allows us to take a shortcut. But of course we don't have that, so we would be going on a really slow path. So doing that skip is actually really beneficial, saving a lot of time. And then moving to this chaser section, it's another one with these guys. This one is really scary though, because we're actually on rails, and then these guys, if they hit us with their lasers while I'm above a pit, that's like a death. But thankfully wasn't the case. Now I'm on flat ground, so I actually just go into this section with QSS, and it's just QSSing through this section, making it a boost QSS so I don't run into any of these robots and I actually kill all of the laser bots as we go along. And then that's the end of the stage. Yeah, that's a bit of time for failing that M speed, but happens. Like I said, hard trick, and I'm only really giving it one shot because it wouldn't be good for me to try for that multiple times. So now that we're done that, we actually talked to Pickle again. And not be stuck in this menu, but we talked to Pickle again to actually activate the boss, which is still in Spagonia. It's gonna be similar to the first boss that I fought, but this one's a little different. This is Egg Devil Ray, and this one is kind of known as one of the worst bosses in the game. At least dace-wise, because the problem with this guy is that he does work similarly to the first boss. He has like random mechanics to it that I'll explain as we go along, and I also have to be grabbing medals, so it's a little annoying to try to like do this fight optimally. I'm trying to grab this medal and then getting hit off on him. Shoot. Okay, not particularly how I wanted that one to go, but it's fine. I'm gonna be careful here. I could get a hit going, but I want to like stay stuck in this so I can grab that medal. I had to skip another medal because of how this guy works. So like trying to be safe kind of here, because it's just like, yeah, this guy puts up a shield wall every time, like sometimes after you hit him, and it's entirely random whether he wants to put it here. Like I didn't be able to get 2 hits off here, but he throws this wall up now. It's kind of random though whether he would have done that like another like if he did that like earlier, which kind of sucks. It puts a lot of RNG into this boss, but it's not like it's a huge time loss. It just makes the variations of times like 10 to 20 seconds, and you can skip medals like I did, which kind of sucks. But like I said at the beginning of the run, I have backup medals, so it's not a huge deal. Just makes him one of the more annoying bosses in the run. Otherwise, that's still done. We got to that stage. And that completes our 2-day stages that we had to do for this section of the run. So now we move on to Cool Edge Night. It'll be the ice stage that I did earlier, but it's going to be the night section. This night stage is actually one of the longer ones in the game because there's not a lot of like huge out of bounds you can do. We do have some, but it's a lot harder to skip huge sections of the stage. Still really cool though, and I really like the vibes of that level, so we're just going to talk to Pickle, get that activated. This is the only time we actually only have one activation for a night stage. So you see that Halaska's activated over there. I'm going to come over here and enter it. I'm not going to immediately go to the entrance. I'm actually just going to come back here and grab that sun medal, and then the sun medal and the snowman, and now we're going to make our way over there. Jump around over here, and this is another attack that I got because I did an EXP glitch. This is basically our main form of movement now. I want this medal because I actually had to back that up. And I want to activate these 3 switches, but yeah, that needle attack kind of thing. I forget what it's actually called in the actual like fight list. We all kind of have our own names for a lot of these combos, but that needle attack, spinning needle, I believe it's called actually, is the fastest the fastest form of movement for Werehog. It actually sets him a little higher than like running speed, so that's pretty much what I'm going to be doing whenever I'm on like flat ground anymore, is just using that attack to like go as fast as possible. We do a couple skips over the icy platforms. Once again, this is Cool Edge, so the main gimmick is that everything's icy. I'm gonna be doing another go-through wall here to skip this door opening. If I can get the timing, this one's a little weird. I got through. Nice. And then I'm gonna be doing an uppercut to get above this door where there's a hole above it. And then right here I'm gonna do another death abuse. Instead of beating these enemies, I'm gonna do an uppercut against this wall, air combo over here, which actually hits the checkpoint, and then take a death. So now I'm in this section without having to kill those enemies, and I actually despawned a lot of stuff. So that allows me right now to grab that medal, clip through this wall, and then jump, do the spinning needle attack, hopefully make it. Yeah, so I'm like out of bounds, clipping to this wall. I'm gonna do another death abuse by hitting that checkpoint, and then hitting and going in the water and dying. That actually despawns those enemies, so I don't have to fight them. And now we're gonna do another go through wall, where I actually clip this wall after hitting that button, so the button actually activates all the entities in this section, which lets these things spawn so I can jump up on them like out of bounds, grab this sun medal. I'm gonna air combo up into this ledge that you would normally be like hanging onto, and then just clip back into the stage. Come on. Come over here. Uppercut, grab this medal again. And we're coming around instead of going up onto that ledge to grab this moon medal. No, it's another sun medal. I was a little forgetful on what actual medals that we're grabbing, but like I said, sun medals are the more important ones. I'm doing a couple riskier needle attack jumps over here, and then another one over here, so I can skip grabbing all those poles and that. I'm coming here, I'm grabbing this guy to hit this pillar and time this so that I didn't get it while I was in the cutscene. That cutscene is like required and actually stops your movement for a bit, so I want to like, there's a really specific way they're actually able to like flame that so that, oh, that was not fun. They got me, they sniped me. But yeah, that like pillar is like frozen at the bottom. You can't do attacks to it until you actually hit him with this fire guy. So yeah, I want to, it's like a weird timing. I'm trying to like do a cool visual cue so that I can actually like do that without having to wait until the cutscene's over. But it's fine. I'll just come over here and almost got sniped by that guy again, but it didn't get me this time. I'm gonna do this ice wall climb. A lot of warehouse like grabbing and that can be like canceled and like done really fast, so doing the up wall really fast is like kind of pretty fun with the movement, to be honest. A lot of warehouse movement is really undersold and like undervalued for how actually cool it really is to pull off in practice. I'm gonna be, oh, I don't even know how I managed to actually set myself on fire. That's kind of impressive. Funny game. That's never happened before. But yeah, so I can actually hit that while that cutscene's happening so that activates the door and I don't have to just burn the thing first before hitting the button. Let's come to this room. This room is honestly kind of notorious because for whatever reason, it really likes to eat your inputs for no good reason. And it's not like a performance issue thing because we're running on Unleashed Decomp or Recompiled, and it still happens. So I don't know what Sonic team was thinking when they made this room, but they made a bad room. IMO. I'm coming over here to this little shortcut so I can actually grab the smooth metal. Jump here, hair combo over. And hit that switch so I can actually activate everything in the next room so like progression happens properly. And I'm gonna air combo up here to get on this geometry and then skip that entire room fight. Sliding down over here, then I grab this metal and then this fight activates. This one's actually required to do the gold ring, so I actually do have to fight this one out. So I'm gonna grab this attack clause here to like clear these guys out a little faster. And just try to like as optimally like beat these guys up as I can. Which, you know, is fun because some of these guys are really annoying to attempt to hit. Grab another attack clause here and then hit Unleash, so I'm actually able to like do more damage. And also a little thing about Unleash that I don't know if I actually mentioned was that activating Unleash lets your attacks come out quicker. So it's really good to do, to like activate Unleash when I can, and it's good for that end of that fight so that I can quickly clear through everything. Yeah, the death was unfortunate, but I got a little sniped. Nothing I can really do about that. And then right beside me actually activates the, after beating that stage, if it would like to let me enter, we go to the second night stage boss, where the night stage bosses are actually all a little different. But this guy, he's got like those little snakes that come out, and you want to actually like attempt to kill these guys so that you can actually down that barrier that's surrounding him. There's metals around this area, so I want to try to like grab these as I can. And then these canisters are how we actually like able to like freeze them so that we can do some damage. I'm gonna be setting up so I can do 2 cycles in one here by hitting this 3 times, bopping this back pimple twice, and then getting these both through the wall so that hopefully I'm able to kill both at the same time, which looks like I was able to pull off properly. So don't have to do 3 cycles of this boss. And I'm trying to smack these guys with like the charged missile punch. You can barely clip them if you stand a really specific spot before they go in, because if you get too close to some of them, then they'll decide to like pop back into their little hidey hole, which obviously you don't want. I'm gonna be trying to, there's another one that's like on the top of his head, and the only way you're actually able to like hit that is by like getting him to do this spinning attack. I wanted to try and do it without actually like using this like freeze thing, but he kind of got like, he shot something in my way, so it was really hard for me to be able to actually do it, which sucks. But it's not that too hard to like just throw an ice canister at him, and that kills that boss. So that pretty much solves everything that we had to do in these like first few worlds. So what actually happens now story-wise is that when we go talk to the professor, instead of staying in Rooftop Run, we actually get teleported to the next like 3 sets of worlds. Shamar is going to the next one, and then we also unlock Empire City and blanking on what it's actually called, the country name is, but we unlock Jungle Joyride, which is the tropical like island continent. Adabat, that's what it's called. Yeah, once we talk to Pickle, he disappears, and then basically that just area is just empty for the rest of the game. No point to ever go back there. And we enter into the Shamar Hub world. We're tasked with like finding Pickle here. His lab is always in the same spot, so we just move directly to it with Daysonic. Come in here and talk to him so that we can actually activate the next few sets of stages. And one of those next few stages is actually in this world, Shamar. That will be activating Arid Sands. I'm going to be getting a little bit of a bump off of that plant so that I can actually go and grab that mood medal. And then this is when we actually get Daysonic's last ability, like last upgrade. Of course, we got to get up to it, so I'm going to come over here, do this little bit of platforming where I don't get stuck under the grab the sun medal. Let me attack this guy, stomp onto here, and then also get this medal that's hidden behind the tree. And then right here is where we actually get the Lightspeed Dash. This is a move that if you're familiar with Sonic Unleashed, or like Sonic in general, since Adventure 1 even, you will know what a Lightspeed Dash does. It just allows you to travel really quickly across a trail of rings. And that's going to be his last upgrade, so now we have a fully upgraded Sonic besides levels. And then this is Arid Sands. This stage actually has one of the bigger speed skips that I'm going to be attempting later into the stage, but first we got to get through this like city section. The stage is like split up into 2 areas where you have this like city section first, and then you actually have the like desert area. The city area is pretty cool and has like some of the more unique like speed segments. The only problem is that this area is littered with NPCs, and those NPCs actually are like basically like collision. They are like brick walls. If you run into them, they will push Sonic to the side, and it's really annoying, so you gotta take care to avoid them. But actually ends the city section, so right now we move into the desert section. Come over here, actually jump at the end of this loop. I would have, but my input got eaten, so we're gonna take the bottom path section, which is fine. Not too big a deal. So yeah, come over here. And then do this combo to actually grab that sun medal, and then make our way here. And then coming up here is gonna actually be where the skip happens. I'm gonna attack on this guy and line myself up on this rock, boost, and that actually skips me above a 2D trigger. I'm gonna hit this check for safety, but I want to come over here, hold my M speed angle, which is really in a scary position that it sent me, but essentially I am able to fly over here now and skip over that entire 2D section, which it actually saves about like 30 seconds, something like that. You skip a large chunk of the stage by doing that launch. I went down there to grab an extra medal because actually by going down on the bottom path I skipped a medal, so I had to back it up and grab that one, which is some of the little small backups that I have to know how to do in case things go wrong in the run, which can happen sometimes, but like I said, this is a very difficult run. So that ends Arid Sands, and then there's nothing else for me to do here, so we're going to actually be exiting the stage and moving on to Empire City Night. Empire City Night is actually another one of the cooler night stages, IMO, because the way that this one is set up, once we actually get into the stage, is that you're actually on more of a rooftop run than actually rooftop run. You are traveling across the buildings that you see in the background, because this place is like sort of based on like inner city New York. So there's a bunch of skyscrapers, and that's kind of the gimmick of the stage, is that you're up in the sky above in skyscrapers. We're in this like central park looking area right now. Skyscraper Scramble. Nobody really calls it that. I think Empire City is a much more fitting name. But yeah. I'm gonna be quickly doing another uppercut combo to get over this wall and skip a fight trigger, and then if I time my jump right, I was able to just grab onto that pole instead of having to go around on all the poles and jump them. So yeah, like I said, we are pretty much up in the air, running around on skyscraper buildings. And I gotta be careful with my platform because some of the platforming here is really cool, but if I miss my jumps, then I'm dead. And we got large sections like this where we actually don't get a check, so I gotta be kind of careful with my platforming. I'm pretty used to these sections and know what I can actually able to get away with, but you get a couple of sections like this where there's these saw blades, and the fun part about these saw blades is that if you're on these like ledges and get hit by those saw blades, they pretty much act like just ways to eject you off, and the chances of you being able to re-grab a ledge are practically nothing, so it's pretty much a death. I gotta be careful, but they give you enough leniency to actually be able to air combo around them and actually do that balancing section fast instead of really being scared of the entire thing. This section here, I actually gotta kill these like blue strong enemies. They have like variations of all these enemies, like these guys, and for whatever reason the strong ones in this section are the only ones that are tied to like map progression, because I could have just skipped back over the wall, but actually finishing that, actually getting that door activated is a required trigger to load the rest of the stage. I'm gonna come over here, grab another sun medal. And then instead of hitting that button to actually activate that pole, I'm just gonna needle my way over here so that I can skip all that. And then this is a Titan fight that they want you to do, but you actually don't need to do it. As long as you just line yourself up and jump and needle, you're actually just able to skip that fight and activating the platform, so that's nice. Come over here. I want to be careful on this section because these sections are both falling like girders, and those girders have spikes on the side, which means I'm not able to grab them from the side. And also if I bounce too far to the left or right, they hit me and then I fall down and die. That's the last to really have to deal with them though. Just come over here now. Do all these pole grabs. I'm also gonna go over this wall to grab this sun medal. Now it really looks like I'm able to just like get to that section over there, but they actually spawn an invisible wall that you're not able to like get around. Unless you were to have like a fully upgraded Werehog, which the fully upgraded Werehog is really neat if you've ever seen all night stages run. Because the fully upgraded Werehog is extremely broken. We unfortunately do not get enough XP to even be able to come close to being able to do anything that would be like worth skipping with the upgraded Werehog. And a lot of the skips that we do in all night stages skip over a bunch of medals that we do to 90%. So it wouldn't be worth it to have that. But I do recommend ever looking up an all night stages run. I think, like I said, I believe that Werehog is one of the most underappreciated parts of this game. And there's a lot of cool things that you're able to do with them, and I think all night stages actually very much exemplifies that. Instead of doing this Titan fight again, also I am able to just uppercut and line myself up in a way that I can just get across, get up and over that wall, and skip it. That's the end of Empire City Night. So now we're actually done with the available stages again, so we actually have to go back and talk to Pickle. This sort of section of the game is where the 2-in-2 method kind of goes out the window for like days and night stages. You kind of just jump in between the two, mostly because, less so because like that's how the game intends you, but because it's like the most optimal for like grabs, because this is when the game kind of opens up and lets you do your own thing with the way that you want to like tackle these stages. I could technically go and do Jungle Joyride Night next, but it's a little more optimal to go and do Empire City Days, so we'd actually be returning to Empire City once we're done talking to the Pickle Man. Before I exit out, I'm gonna go over here and just grab one more sun medal, and then exit out. I don't need that extra sun medal that's like says that it's still available in the area. It's way too out of my way to go and grab it, so we just skip over it. And then we load an Empire City Day. Coming over here, I will grab this moon medal. And then I'm going to be trying to get like a slope jump off of this little platform here to make it up here. Then go into this launcher just to grab this sun medal that's up here and then actually enter the stage. So right here we're actually able to do a little cool like smaller skip. Anyone's really able to do it if you ever want to try it in this game. So if you come over here, do a little boost jump and then boost over, you're actually able to skip a little bit of the game, skip a little bit of the stage. That's from a little really simple small jump. I think it's pretty neat. Ooh. And then coming over here, I'm going to actually like go out of my way on these buildings to grab a couple more medals. Nice for routing, just to make sure that I have them for the end game. Which instead of going to the right, which is where you're intended, come over here for this sun medal. I want to make sure I'm not about to boost myself off of the stage because it's very easy to do. Take this top path here. In classic Sonic fashion, top path is really good, especially for meta collecting in this area because those top paths are actually where they store most of the medals in this section. And then we get into the first real encounter with this guy as long as we hit Chaser Skip and Dragon Road Day. This is the backwards, I don't really know what to call him, the backwards chaser, but this is like the chaser where he's actually chasing you and you have to avoid off-screen bombs that you get notified about, and then his laser things, and then that transitions into these guys again, who are the other chasers that follow you, hit their lasers out, so you just bash robots into them. They're very simple to get past. It's just QSS through their sections, and then just make your way. And this rail section is kind of funny because you're very vertical, so you're actually able to do quite a few jumps to get to rails that are further down. Of course, if you miss them, you die, which is a little scary. And I'm gonna fall down here, kill these 5 enemies, and that should spawn the go ring down the stage. And then that is everything that I need to do with Empire City. So I'm gonna actually go back to the world map, and now we are going to go to JJ Knight. Didn't want to go to JJ Day. We don't actually activate JJ Day yet. We don't have access to it, so we go to JJ Knight. This stage is really cool. It has honestly one of the best night stage tracks in the game. Unleashed has honestly one of the best soundtracks in like Sonic history. Slightly biased because I do love this game. This is like honestly one of my top 5 games ever. That's why I love running it, and I really want to show this off. So I'm gonna be coming up here and getting that grab off, and then doing these guys over here, and also picking up the sun medal that's up here. We're very close to the final checkpoints for all of the medals that we need, because the next night stage is going to be the last one where I need the required amount of moon medals, and then the next day stage is where I need all 120 sun medals. Didn't mean to die there, whoopsies. That's fine. We needed that sun medal grab, so it's whatever, I guess. One of the best things about the Unleashed PC port is that I'm actually able to turn off the battle theme, which is a very big point of contention for this game. Not a lot of people like the battle theme because of how overused it is. And I think one of the best things that was added to Unleashed PC is the ability to turn off battle theme. So you're actually able to listen to this beautiful song. This is one of the best tracks in the game. It is Jungle Joyride Night. Coming over here, trying to hit this check and go over the invisible wall. Even if I didn't get over the invisible wall, as long as I hit the check, I would have been able to spawn back over here. Sadly, the nice music gets interrupted for this fight with this Mother Titan. A couple charge punches with the attack claws kills it, so it's not that big a deal. Come over here and grab this medal while it's in its dying animation, because that wall that was around the switch doesn't despawn until after that guy is dead. I need a little bit of platforming here. These waterfalls, if I were to jump into them right now, they would actually push Sonic down and I'd like immediately die. So, not good to jump into them. I actually got to go around this section and actually activate two poles that I wouldn't be able to make progress without. The jump is just too big to be able to make it without those poles. I'll wait for these waterfalls to go away again and then take this pole. Now the game expects you to do this like fight sequence and like grab a switch somewhere to activate a platform. That takes too long though, so we're gonna actually do a buffered like jump grab off of this to get a little more height from a jump and air combo. Got stuck by the geometry, so I'll try that again, but what we're trying to do here is just like not have to activate anything and then just get to this switch which actually activates the door back here. So now I'm actually able to make progress again, and then right on to the next Titan fight, which is this is the last section of the stage, pretty much. So just a couple more missile punches. I gotta guard these attacks, because if I don't guard them, then I am pretty much dead. Not dead, but I will get hit, and there's a long stun animation for getting hit by those big guys, which is really bad. Because that actually will pretty much waste my entire unleash meter, and I need that entire unleash meter to actually kill those guys. Not actually be able to make progress in this room without like killing that guy, so good thing to do is make sure that you're guarding things, whether or not you think you're gonna be fine. So I hit that switch and grab this medal. This section, there's like a little puzzle with all of these buttons that you have to hit in order, so we just go around and hit those and grab the medals that are around the stage as we do it. And that ends Jungle Joyride Night. So that's that one, and the next stage is actually activated where we don't have to go talk to Pickle, and right now it's actually Arid Sands Night, so I'm gonna be coming over here again. And I'm actually one medal short of what I need to activate the stage, so I'm going to be doing... In this hub, I do have one more backup medal that I can grab, but I pretty much need this to actually be able to enter the stage, so I'm gonna come over here, get these grabs, and then grab this medal, and that should activate the stage. There's no lock on it anymore, and the thing's going around it, so we're good now. And then Arid Sands and the run is fairly notorious because of the go-through wall mechanic, because there's a lot of like unnecessary fighting that this game really wants to do. This section really sucks, but as long as I am able to get go through wall through this, you saw that was the first time I really went through the floor. That happens, especially on this gate a lot. This stage is pretty hard to get all your go-through walls properly. There's a lot you have to do. But yeah, I'm gonna be coming over here. I'm slightly out of bounds now, and then I clip back in. I've skipped like 3 fights that the game wants you to do, and the next few fights aren't loading. Lets me come over here, grab that medal, and then we get to this section where there is this fight that spawns here with those wizards and that wasp, but we don't want to do that because that doesn't open up anything that we actually want to do. So we're just gonna come over here, grab these medals, and I'm gonna be trying to be quick about this as possible before they start targeting on me, but I'm gonna be trying for a go through wall in this door. This one is extremely thick, so it's really hard to get this. And then if I'm not able to get this, there we go. So that one's hard to time. The thicker the wall is, the harder it is to make the go-through wall timing on it, but I eventually got it. So we skipped that entire like city section. This level is set up a lot like the day stage, where there's a city section and then there's the desert section, but the city section is extremely long and boring, so we don't want to play it. There's these fire wizards, which is like kind of the mechanic of this stage, where these guys will set you on fire if you try to attack them, so you need to kill them with water first. But because we have the missile punch and enough strength, we are just able to one-tap them with the missile punch and then extinguish ourselves in the water, so which is the quickest way of killing them. I'm gonna grab this barrel here and set it up so that I can jump on it, because the game wants you to like bring over a block, which is really slow to bring over, so it's better to just bring that barrel and then jump on it. And then this is another Titan fight. Want to kill him, give him a couple missile punches so that he dies, and then that spawns the end goal. So that's the end of Very Sensei. And that is the final night stage, the final regular night stage in this game. The only thing we have to do now is actually the night stage boss. So we come over here, we have enough activations to actually get into here, so we come in here. And this boss also works different than the other two night stage bosses that we've done. Excuse me. Dark Guardian. Come over here and tap him. Now, his boss mechanic is that he actually becomes invulnerable when he like goes down after we do a certain amount of damage. So this actually puts him into a stun state, which allows us to push these blocks. And this is our main form of damage. This fight is really silly, but we want to push those to like the end of the stage, and then like he'll get revived every single time after we kill him for like after a few seconds. So. And then these guys spawn to like push the blocks back. So pretty much what this entire fight is just juggling, like killing those guys, keeping this guy down. Oop, I didn't kill him enough. Yeah, keeping that guy down and then making sure that the enemy spawns don't actually push the box back. And we're doing all of these at the same time, and I'm not activating them because more walls start to spawn in like different patterns depending on depending on how many have already been pushed in. So it's really not good to have them all pushed in one by one. Better to push them all in at the same time. So that will slowly kill him, and I'd want to like stay as far away from him as possible because of that attack there. That actually puts me into a QTE. It'd kill him, but if I wait long enough and wait for an animation, I'm actually able to attack him during it, and then I get to skip his QT, and that actually finishes that boss. Not necessary for me to grab those medals, but I kind of like to do it because Sonic does his little monologue at the end, and then that's that boss fight. And that is pretty much it for all the regular Werehog stuff that we had to do. And then because we now have, I think I grabbed 121. I should end this with 121 once I get into this hub. But yeah, I've gotten above the checkpoint that it wants out of me, which is 120 sun medals. So I actually activated the last day stage, Jungle Joyride Day. So once we go talk to Pickle and tell him that everything's all good in here, he's gonna tell us that we can finally go to Jungle Joyride. So I talk to him and leave, and then we can make our way over. Right here. Just making our way over. Don't have to talk to anyone, so we just make our way straight to the stage. Then boosting across this water. This is where the stage is. It requires a level 7, which is 120 medals. This is like the highest level of like gate activation that you need. Very high requirement. And then we enter this section now. So this is one of the hardest day stages, because it's like both very long and mechanically tests like pretty much everything that you've done in the game up to this point, which honestly makes it one of my favorite because one, it's a beautiful stage, the music's awesome, and this stage is really fun to play. Instead of taking the top path here, I'm gonna be coming down to the bottom, getting a D-speed over here, taking into this section. And now, medals are actually not, like, important for the rest of the game, so you're not going to be seeing me going for medals. I'm basically playing this as if it was an IL now at this point, so trying to get through it as fast as possible. There's another chaser section here, but our Q assassin, I would basically get through it way faster than they were able to be able to, like, attack me. I want to slow down here, because if I enter this section too quickly, I'll just fall through the water. And then this water section is extremely open, so I'm actually just able to completely go out of bounds and not have to play any of it. And drift boosting actually gives you some of the highest speed. It's about like the same as M speed, so as long as your movement's fairly good, it's actually like pretty comparable to M speed. You won't actually have to start holding M speed to be able to do anything. Then we go through this chaser section. And then I want to be lined up in the middle here. This actually puts me in 3D in this instead of restricted, in which I can just drift through this section and boost and stomp and do all kinds of cool things. I've been trying to set up for a bit of a 2D like section skip here. Not very necessary, it doesn't save a lot of time, but I think it looks really cool. So right here, I'm gonna, instead of jumping over this door, I'm gonna come over here, try to stomp, and jump down here. Actually don't think I got it, but that's fine. That just means we got to play this section out. So I was trying to skip around 2D trigger to not have to play this section out, but it actually doesn't require too much. Actually isn't really saving too much time. And it's actually what's faster than normally what you have to do to get into this section, so we'll take it. And here, that's a little drop wall. I'm back there so I don't have to crawl through that section. Sonic will just go on like all fours and start doing a crawl, which is pretty slow. Another one of these like crusher wall thing, crusher like floor ceiling things, just de-speed our way through it. That QT, and then we get into the last section of the stage. Ooh, just missed the springs. A little silly mistake there, that's fine. Didn't lose too much time. The game is really hard, and like Sonic is extremely unwieldy to control. These stages sometimes just little silly mistakes like that happen. I like this movement has like honestly been pretty good for me having to try to commentate it at the same time, which I'm pretty happy about. The game's very hard to play, so, but I'm fairly well experienced with it enough that it's like pretty easy for me to commentate and try to play the game well. So you're gonna be jumping here, homing attacking these guys, coming over here, and that still ended us with a sub 4. Which for Jungle Joyride Day is still a very good time, even with a death. And then, yeah, that's the last day stage. So, now it's just... Oops. You do need boost to actually get across that water, so yeah. I had to save myself there, or I was going to die. It's fine though, for loadless though, because that I can just hit that and that loads really fast. Let me just go into the... Egg Lancer, final day stage boss. And this one kinda has a looping segment to it, but it works a little different. The way you actually get teleported back to this section of the game. So we do 2 runarounds and try to hit him 6 times is the required amount to actually kill him. Plus there's a QT section that they want you to do. So and if you fail that QT section, you actually kind of die, which is a little scary, so I want to be a little careful doing these. Pay a little bit of attention to what I'm doing, but we just QSS through this section, try to get through here faster. Hit him when he actually appears. And we fall down here. Take a damage boost just to line myself up so that I can actually go and boost QSS into him. And then we get this wall formation. I'm trying to remember all of these buttons because those first 3 pads are always going to be the same. So BBX, I will be able to just spam that when I actually get back into the that section, because this is the loop that I was talking about. It pretty much brings us back, but it's like a weird teleport thing. Into this section again, it's pretty much the same, except it's like you can't really see what you're doing here. Oh. That's actually a first. I have never fallen out of the stage there. Okay, interesting. I will be a little more careful in that section. That is, yeah, I've never actually had myself fall out of the section. I wonder how that happened. Oh, whatever, just try and do this again. Not a big deal that I didn't get that hit off because like the kill method is still gonna be pretty fast. I'll wait for him up here, hit him. And again, now the QT is not going to be the same, I believe, because of the reload. So yeah, BX X. So it's different than first time. Pretty much the same though. So get him on that hit, and then we just try again. Yeah, there's some funky stuff that happened, but it's first time. I guess I'm not entirely surprised that that happened, but it was interesting to say the least. Yeah, this is more how it's supposed to look, where I'm not like falling off the stage. Wait for him to appear again and then hit him. Don't know what happened the first time, but I mean, games are silly. Damage boost again to get through there and knock myself up. So now, as you see, I'm able to just hit these buttons all the same. They're all going to be the same. Off. And because I missed that first hit, I'm going to have to redo this one, but not a big deal. And there we go, we killed him. Okay, so that is the final day stage boss. That pretty much is all of the like regular stages in the game. So we finally activate the final section of this game, which is Eggman Land. This is the big like penultimate level. But first we also have to go back and talk to Pickle, and then as I said before, there are 2 tornado defense sections, and flying to Eggman Land is actually one of those tornado defense sections. So we're gonna have to sit through the 5-minute tornado defense again, which is a little annoying, but I said it'd be a good time for donations and all that, and don't really have anything else to say because it's the only real difference is not something that applies to the speedrun anyway, where you can actually like do nothing during the boss fight of the first tornado defense and you'll actually clear the stage. But on this version of tornado defense, I have to kill the boss or I will actually die and then have to redo the entire tornado defense. But like I said, there's no reason for that to ever come down to that in a speedrun. So, yep, we enter this section again. It plays out this whole cutscene, so it's pretty much exactly the same, just different patterns for all the robots. So, good place for donations, good place to talk about anything that would need to be talked about, and I'm just gonna play this section out.
just can't get enough, huh?
I think it's up to something. Be careful, Sonic.
So, like I said, this is like the exact same as it was before. Just have to kill him 4 times. And hit him with all 5 rockets whenever he opens up his mouth and that. So, I think I'll take time to explain Eggman Land before I actually get into it. Eggman Land is notoriously one of the biggest and longest Sonic stages in like Sonic history, actually, especially for Boost Sonic. It's very notorious for being long, very hard, and it actually has a mechanic where you actually swap mid-stage between day sections and night sections. So there's a lot of skips that we were actually able to do from like how open the outsides of the stage are. So during the day sections, I can't really do super much during the night sections except for a big skip sort of near the end. But during the day sections, there's going to be a lot of applications of D speed and M speed that's going to allow me to skip rather long sections of the stage. And that finished that final boss. So yeah, once we get into here, there's gonna be a lot of focus, a lot of me like trying to make sure that I do a lot of these skits properly, and hopefully that I'm actually able to pull them off, because this stage is really cool when done properly. So I'm gonna try my best. We'll see what happens, and I'll try to commentate over it.
Beautiful.
So loading in here, that's when this is over. But tornado defense, silly me. Yeah. Coming in here, this is like low combat section I want to start off, and then once you hit this ramp, this is when actually the entire stage starts to split off. I'm going to be trying to jump to not miss that. That was getting a little caught in the collision, but we can try again. Not that big of a deal. We just hit a checkpoint. So right here, I'm going to go into this rail section. And then at the end of this rail section, I'm gonna actually jumping here, getting on top of this collision, trying to set myself up for an M speed. So trying to line myself up. So jumping here, and then if I had a good enough angle, I am actually able to fly all the way over here using M speed to get into this section. This is what's known as bobsled skip, because we were actually supposed to be in this section in a bobsled. What I skipped doing that jump is actually like 2 minutes of gameplay and the first werehog section that the game wants you to play through. And then we skip a bit of the second day stage section, because you do play the stage in the day section, but this section, like I said, is supposed to be played with a bobsled. It's really unruly to control, really hard to do, and it's just fast. Like, of course, the jump is way faster to get into this section. So once we're in here, that ends the first day section for speed. There is a small skip here that's really not marathon safe, known as pipe skip. That'd be something that I'd be willing to try a couple times, but for the sake of this submission video, I think it'd be better to show off the first werehog section. Coming over here, we just go over all these pipes. I want to be quick here, because if these guys can kind of start to wobble me a little if I don't get this switch done. We don't want to kill them, it's slow to kill them, but yeah, they can be a little bit of a nuisance. I'm into this section, I'm gonna do like a buffered ledge grab jump, get up into that section, grabbing this ledge here to go in this pipe, and this kind of skips a lot of the weird platforming they wanted to do in this pipe like room of the game. And I'm gonna just air combo myself over the wall so I don't actually have to activate the switch, and this pretty much ends the first werehog section. And then right here, we're gonna activate Daysonic. I'm gonna be setting up for 3D and 2D here, so that I'm actually having 3D physics in the 2D section of the stage. So I'll line myself up here, boosting, jumping, and then I'll get launched up here, but I'll have full 3D control. So I'm trying to land back into the 2D section, and then trying to maneuver myself through here. It's kind of hard because, like, of course, this is a 2D section. You're never supposed to be in here in 3D, so I'd be really careful with my movements. And once I get to this section, I can stomp down to, or I can go and hit this checkpoint and then boost around here. And I'm gonna be setting up another M speed here. Didn't get my M speed. That one's really hard to set up, so I will take a quick death here. That's why we hit the checkpoint. So that we're actually able to try this again with relative ease. So come here, set this up. I got the M speed now. We're flying around and like skipping a large majority of the first first 2D section. The first like different section of the game. I actually didn't manage to hit the check, which sucks, so I will have to try for it again because my M speed dropped, which is a little spooky. Still making good time on this stage though, because this is a rather hard trick to get. Didn't get the height I needed. So keep trying, because this, as long as I keep trying this is actually just sort of like way faster than if I were to attempt to like play the rest of the day stage section out. So come here once again, try to get this. I'm gonna hold out the M speed a little longer, so hopefully I actually make it inbounds. Should be good here. And I come up to this little like shortcut part of the stage. Do this wall jump so that I can get over here and then go through this pipe section. This actually skips about like half of the next Werehog section. It's like an intended skip, but we did like get here because of like flying to the stage. And then this is the last Werehog section. I'm gonna immediately clip through this wall here. And I'm gonna be jumping out around here to actually land on top of this pipe. You would want to be in the middle, like inside the pipe, but that would send you through all of those sections that you can see out there. That's slow. So I jump out of bounds and on top of these, that I'm actually able to just jump around all those large sections. I have to be really careful here though, because I don't really have a good way of saving myself if I fall off the pipe. So yeah, just come jump around and then jump onto this hallway, and then that we are pretty much basically at the end of Eggman Land now. And we're just going to do another go through wall to get through this door, so I don't have to do another Titan fight. Go through this wall, Sonic. And then this is the last Titan fight, and this is the one that actually spawns the gold ring in it. So I'm gonna be running up to these guys and activating my Unleash now. And I'm gonna be doing the same method we usually do to kill these guys, which is just charge missile punches. One guy's dead, and then I'm gonna try to get some like free damage off on this guy, which took a little damage there. That's fine, so I can just actually get my Unleash back. This guy's about to do a jumping attack. I gotta guard this entire thing. It's no point in trying to attempt to attack him during it, because it's just not gonna work out. But that kills him, and that's gonna spawn the gold ring for the end of the stage. Now that ended up being, from what I can see, a 6-minute Eggman Land. Now, just for context, a lot of people casually spend anywhere from like 15 to 25 minutes in that stage playing for the first time. We're able to do it in around 6 minutes, so pretty fast, as you can see with some of the skips that we're able to do. So once we get through all these cutscenes, and that, we're going to be moving on to the final like technical like Werehog boss fight. This one is kind of a little bit of a joke though, because the reality with this boss fight is that this is kind of like a cutscene. What we're gonna do here is like get a hit off on him and then charge punch his middle. So he's gonna float around. I'm gonna charge punch him while he's like flying around to the next spot, and that's gonna put him into his first QTE section. Now the fun part of this QTE section is that all of these combos are the same, except for 2 on the second cycle. We do 2 cycles of this QTE section. So this entire time I'm pretty much just mashing whatever button's about to come up next. And that's really all Eddragoon is. Eddragoon's kind of a very nothing fight. It's very much just a cutscene fight. And that's the first cycle done, so Eggman is going to like break the stage platform to actually like send us to the next part of the stage. This one technically is on a timer, because like thematic lore reasoning is that we're actually like falling through the floor of Eggman Land after like it gets like all broken up, and we're like falling into the core of the earth right now. And because we're falling, eventually if you let him break too many of the platforms, this is really wacky. But if you let him break too many of the platforms, then eventually you just run out of platforms to land on and you die and have to redo the boss fight. Thankfully we never get close to that. So missed this charge punch, but because of the cycle that we were on, I was able to get another free hit on. I'm just a slight amount short on damage, so we're just gonna be waiting for them to do this attack. Then we go here, hit him again, and then that starts the next QTE section. So this is all the same now. Hit those first three buttons, which next one's gonna be A. And then these are the next two random QTs, so I gotta actually be paying attention for these ones instead of just spamming buttons. This one's gonna be random. Then this next one's gonna be random. Then it's gonna be 16 Y presses. And then it's gonna be a B press, and that ends the boss fight. Take Eggman, grab his little pod, and then throw him away, and he team rockets off in outer space. And that's the end of the boss fight. And so that is the final time we're going to be seeing Werehog for the rest of the game, and we actually transition into, I guess another gameplay section, another new like gameplay section. This is the Dark Gaia boss fight. This is the monster that got released at the start of the game. It's like the big bad of this game. He's pretty much the personification of all the negative dark energy in the world. And you can there's some like thematic purposing here that you can probably sort of, you know, kind of see who this guy is trying to represent. So we're actually playing as Chip now, Gaia Colossus. What this actual like thing is made out of is all the Gaia temples that we were visiting over the course of the game. They all got teleported here, so now they form this like big like Mechazord thing, and basically get to play a huge kaiju fight at the end of the game. First you gotta get over to Dark Gaia though, so we have this like section where we have to like actually dodge rocks and that while boosting towards him to actually start pummeling on him. And all of the patterns for the rock throws are the same, so we just have to know which ones to actually go towards. So I have a little thing up just for memorization of which where I need to go, where I need to be, because they do this 3 times and the patterns get a little harder to dodge every single time. There's a little hint of RNG here, because depending on which arm Chip uses to actually like beat up on Dark Gaia, he can either do a really fast punch or a slow punch, and it's random which one he does, so there's some like time differential in there. Now we play this small daze section just to like actually like go and beat up on Dark Gaia's eye, which is like what sends us to the next cycle of the boss fight that we have to do. So that is like one cycle, and now we have to do this 2 more times. And this ends up being like one of the longer sections of the game. This is a really long this is like really long because these actual like flying sections take a while. So right here, basically, I'm going to be going from left to right to middle. And then left, right again. And then one thing you're actually able to do is that you actually do have you have a y-axis to work with. So you can actually manipulate it so that Dark Gaia throws the fireballs high and you go low to actually like dodge underneath their hitboxes, which is neat. Now this laser attack, you would have seen me doing the other one, but essentially this like a huge big attack that you can't help but get hit by, and the game expects you to guard it. But if you But if you like have enough sideways momentum as you're flying, you're able to only take one singular big hit and then actually keep flying instead of having to like stop and guard, which is really slow. You just gotta have enough momentum though, because if you're not like flying to the side fast enough, you will start taking extra damage, and that can actually be very, very scary on the final cycle, because we do have to dodge quite a few more rocks, and that laser, as you can see, does a huge chunk of damage. So we load into this next part. This is a 2D day stage section. I'm over here. This QT section. Nothing super interesting we can do in these sections, M&D speed wise, and you don't really want to, because like there's a lot of places to fall. You have to redo the day stage section. There's no checkpoints in these like sections, and then there's also like bullet things that Dark Gaia spawns that will try to hit you midair, and there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of pits, so kind of scary to try to do anything fancy. So I slightly opt out of it. And then we move on to the last cycle. You can see that he's starting to throw them really fast now, so I gotta be really quick with my movements. I want to go left, middle, right. Left, middle, duck, because we're gonna have to duck under one of these, because I can't avoid these ones. These ones are also expected to be guarded, but like I said, that's slow, and we don't want to do that. And I had to duck this one again. This one they don't expect you to duck, but kind of beneficial so you don't get hit. Now I'm gonna try to keep this one going. This one's gonna be a little scary because I got hit, but we'll see. Hopefully nothing bad happens. I do still have my like little idea, because this is when the like throw pattern actually like repeats, so it's gonna be all the same, but also I'm a lot closer now, so it's harder to dodge some of these. Like ducking under that is a little scary, but should be fine. Yeah, we got to the section with enough life, so not a big deal. And so we just do this small little punching section again. This time's gonna be 5 QTs that we need to actually hit. Chip is not giving me a lot of fast hits, which is kind of funny. Not deciding to be nice. Yeah, once we're done all these QTEs, that's gonna be... Wow, that was all slow hits. Chip does not like that. And then we move on to the final day stage section. This one's fully 3D, no 2D section to it, so just gotta zoom through it.
Sonic, hit Dark Gaia's weak spot. Quick, while I hold him back. You rock.
Want to be careful on this next one. Do a wall run here, but I want to be careful here. If I take the left ramp, I die. You get hit midair. It's very cool, very nice game mechanic. I'm over here, and I go to this ramp. And that ends that section, so that's the entire Gaia Colossus kite fight and all the day sections. So then we move on after this cutscene to the supersonic section, and we're actually pretty much coming up on the end of the game right now. This is the final bit of it. So once we get past these cutscenes, we load into the supersonic section. So Gaia Colossus, so like perfect Dark Gaia. This is like final form. You're now supersonic. You transformed into supersonic in between cutscenes. And now we have to fly all the way to this little shield, grabbing all the rings we can, because we actually this supersonic section was a little different than most normal supersonic sections. You do have a life bar and you don't have draining rings, but your rings act as your life bar. So you have to grab enough before you get to this section to make sure that you have enough life to survive this. So we get to the shield here. One of my favorite lines is about to happen. Cinema.
I'll get its attention.
So it seems as though I'm gonna have to go to the right. You see the little snake guys that are poking in and out are actually like what I need to focus and attack to be able to get into the boss fight. Or like, you know, drop the shield so that you can actually start attacking or Dark Gaia, sort of like boss fight funny things. So it's a little it's RNG, like whether they're in and out or like the pattern that they're in when you basically get to this section. But it looks like we're having like good luck here. It seems like this guy's about to, no, it's actually getting fairly good snake RNG here. So yeah, we're beating all these guys up. And then Gaia, Perfect Dark Gaia is actually gonna like attack us now with those like meteors. But we're actually able to avoid them, and then we're gonna get hit by a laser, I think. There's a chance that I can dodge this, but I actually did, so that's good. So I just gotta wait for this next snake to come out. First time I've actually done this one damageless, to be honest with you. As long as I don't get hit anymore. Wait for this guy to come out, start beating up on him. And then, yeah, that drops the shield. So that's pretty much the last bit of the gameplay. The next bit is like cutscenes and QTs that I have to hit. So yeah, that's pretty much all of Sonic Unleashed that I wanted to show off. I hope like everyone's enjoying this. I hope everyone enjoyed this that watched this. This ending sequence is really nothing to write home about. It's just a bunch of like very like set up QTs that I just all have to hit the same. So I'm just mashing those buttons and that. Yeah. Gonna be coming up on time soon here. Just gotta hit 2 more hands. And then this is a very infamous mash that they try to get you to do. You have to hit X 60 times. There we go. And then that's pretty much the end of it. So we're gonna boost into Perfect Dark Gaia now.
Here's Sonic. Now.
And once we actually have the fade out, that is time. So yeah, that was Sonic Unleashed, any percent. I hope this was an enjoyable watch. Like I said, I love this game. This is a very special game, near and dear to my heart, and this I wouldn't be in like the speedrunning scene at all, or like met the people that I've had. I was able to met without like getting into this game, meeting the people that I met through it. I had to give a special thanks to Josh. Josh was Salkeld. That was someone that I was watching for a long time. Like he's been playing the game for well over a decade at this point, probably longer. And it's just really good at this game. World record holder for both Unleashed, Recompiled, and Series S, and it's just really good at the game. Honestly, a really good friend. I'd like to thank a lot of the Unleashed like community that I've been able to like meet and talk to. Everyone there is awesome, and especially the entire Sonic speedrunning community. Everyone across all the 3D games, they're all awesome. But it's just really nice to just really want to give my like thanks and respect to everyone, because it's an amazing community. This is an amazing game, and I really thank you for like taking the time to watch this submission. I really hope you do choose me, because I want to show this game off for people. I think this game is really special, and it really deserves a showing, because it's been quite a long time since this game was last shown, and none of the cool Werehog stuff has ever been shown off at GDQ. So I think it's about time that this game came in and was actually like given the spotlight it really truly I feel like it deserves. So yeah, that is my submission video. I hope you enjoyed. Like I said, this is the PC Unleashed Recompiled version. I am perfectly willing to play this on Series S if need be. And I hope it was an enjoyable watch, and thank you for watching.